Just let me.
The 19th of April, Rabbi Furst, the Pierke Avos Omer.
Okay.
I got
Could let me.
I got the email you sent and I printed it out and I
Oh,
started reading it and I got a sense of what it was talking about, but I really can't get into it without your help.
okay. Well, Bez Hashem, maybe we'll try and find a little time this afternoon. Maybe we can work that out. Bez Hashem. If you let me do the sharing, I can put that document on the screen here.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, great. 1 second here. Come right up here. Oh, okay. So very good. Here we are. Okay. We're in Hay. Mayor was reading in AC. Where is he on the screen? Where it is Hay?
Yes.
Oh, so okay. So yeah. So so that's the brach we make. And then you do the counting. And as we'll see, you should really know. You should verify for yourself that you know which night, which day you're counting for before you start making the bracha. Sometimes people might be excited and they want to jump into the mitzvah, and they don't even realize they don't even think as to what day it is that they're counting, and then they have to start fumbling around or listening to somebody else what day it is. But that's not proper. You should have in mind before you begin the bracha what day that you're counting. That's number one. Number two, he goes on and explains Ein mevorach shechianu. On this mitzvah, we don't make a bracha shechianu. Why? You only make a bracha on a mitzvah that has some type of a simcha to it. But here, in this case, it mentioned where it's bringing to mind Maskir and Tsar, it's bringing to mind our distress. Why should batul memeno korbanos? Because the korbanos are now we're bereft. We're bereft from korbanos bisman hazeh. We don't have a basic mikdash. We don't have the kohanim doing the vote in the basic mikdash, and then we don't have the korban omer or the korban shtei alechem, as we don't have the rest of the korbanos. So therefore, it mentions something which is sad when we bring this to mind, that we're counting the Omer, but it's not really authentic, because we're not going to be bringing we did not bring the Omer, and we will not be bringing the Shtei Lechem, at least as it stands now. It could change. We could, in fact, bring the Shtei Lechem. Basically, this could be built any time, but as it stands right now, we don't have that korban to do. But that would indicate, based on this svora, and if you notice, that's the Rashba. He's bringing down the Rashba, right? That the time when we did have the basic mikdash, we did have the korbanos, we did have Kohen doing the vote in the basic mikdash. We would be saying a shechianu on the counting of the Omer, and even beyond that, according to the Rambam, which explained in detail. The Rambam holds that bisman hazeh, it is a mitzvah d'oraisa to count the Omer bisman hazeh. Could be, according to the Rambam, you would make a shechianu. Could be. There's a different reason. Not because of the korban Omer and the korban shtei alechem. Okay, let's continue on.
I would also ask, we say shechianu on Pesach.
Right.
But we don't have the korban Pesach.
Right.
So it would seem to me that that would apply here also. We don't have the korban os, but we have Shavuos that we're counting to. So why don't we say it's happy because we're counting towards Shavuos?
Yeah. Well, the shechianu that we're referring to on Pesach is probably the shechianu at Kiddush. When we make Kiddush, we make the shechianu. So there, because that's a shechianu which was established on the day of the yontif, right? Just like many women, there's different between hugging. Some women, they are when the husband makes Kiddush and says shechianu, the women are also Yotzi Shechianu with the husband Shechianu at the time of Kiddush. However, there are other women have the minhag that when they light the candles, they light the candles on Yom Tov or every Yom Tov, whenever they do it. They say a Shechianu with the lighting of the candles because that's a Shechianu for the day of the Yom Tov, Pesach or Shavuos, Sukkot, right? Even Yom Kippur, even Yom Kippur, where there's no Kiddush, right? But so the women make a Shechianu at the time of the lighting of the candles on before Yom Kippur comes in. But in terms of a specific mitzvah, right, that we don't have a specific mitzvah, meaning that shechianu that we make on Kiddush, on the various different Yom Tovim, that will cover. Meaning, for example, when we ate matzah several weeks ago, which is a separate mitzvah, we didn't make a separate shechianu because the shechianu that we made at Kiddush was supposed to also include the shechianu that would have been in place to say when we were eating the matzah.
Well, if we did have the carbon pesach, would you say a shechianu when we ate it?
It probably would be included in the shechianu that you make at Kiddush as well, right?
Right.
We don't.
That's my point.
Yeah. So here, you don't have that. Here, your question is, the only time a shechianu would be relevant would be at the beginning of the mitzvah. Although we will see that there's a machlokus whether each and every day is a separate individual mitzvah or it's one mitzvah made of 49 or perhaps 50 components. Right? We'll probably get to see that as a separate discussion about that. So most easily explained, according to the opinion that it's one mitzvah with 50 components or 49 components. So the mitzvah would begin on the second day of Pesach. So that's the time when you would appropriately say the shechianu, right? So that's what he's referring to here. That would not be appropriate in a time when we don't have the Omer. If our whole counting is for the bringing of the shtei alechem, right? So since we don't have that, to mention a shechianu that we're counting for something that we don't have, it's sort of incongruous that you're counting for something that you don't have. So therefore, that's why most of the poskim, as we saw earlier, that was over here up in the beginning. Remember in Beis, at the very beginning of Beis, Rova poskim askimu. The majority of the authorities are in agreement. Sfiras Bisman is there. The Sfira in our time is Ein Elim Midrabanan, right? And which we're, as you mentioned earlier, in the also in the second paragraph, Ela Zecher at the end of the second short paragraph there, be basically the fourth line there in Beis, Ela Zecher LeMikdash. It's a Zecher LeMikdash, right? So being a Zecher LeMikdash, it's not what we would call a truly authentic mitzvah, right? And since it's a Zecher LeMikdash, right, it actually is something which is a sort of a depressing type of a thought. Would inherently cause you to be depressed in some way or another, saddened in some way or another, that we don't have the basic mikdash, right? So, but in terms of the original question, what we see, we shouldn't make on Pesach, because on Pesach we're making the shechianu basically for the kedusha, the holiness of the day, the sanctification of the Yom Tov, which is still, even though we don't have korbanos, and we're lacking quite a lot. We're lacking a tremendous amount of activity, which is specified in the Torah itself. It should be done on a Yom Tov. For example, the Korban Pesach or Pesach, all these other things. But nevertheless, it's still a happy occasion that we have the day, and our thoughts are specifically focused on the fact that we don't have the korbanos. However, this on the second day of Pesach, when you would begin counting the Omer, the only reason you're making this mitzvah is as a remembrance of what used to be. So that's a bit of a saddening thought. Good morning, Roy. How are you today?
Morning, Rabbi Furst. Baruch Hashem. Happy
Okay,
well too, everybody
Thank you.
else.
Yeah, for sure. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So I have one quick question
Go
too.
ahead.
On Yom Tovim, and especially in Chutz La'aretz, when there's a second day of Yontiv,
Right.
you're supposed to be besimcha, but
Right.
yet we start counting the Omer, and it's basically mentioning our tsar. So there's a
Right.
bit of a conflict there.
Correct. That's correct. Right. Um the whole second day Yom Tov is something which we should really be upset about. People shouldn't be happy about second day Yom Tov. The whole concept of second day Yom Tov is that we're still in Gullus. If we would be all back in Eretz Israel with the basic Mikdash and the Kohanim and everything functioning properly, there would be no second day Yom Tov. What would be if on the chant? Apparently, I remember hearing Midrashim mentioned by Rabbi Tuski Zachon Bracha that even in the time of Mashiach, there will be certain Jews that will be living in Chutz La'aretz, even in the time of the basic Mikdash Shlishi and Mashiach Tzidkenu. They'll be sort of like shluchim to be ambassadors to the rest of the nations in some way, form, or another, which I'm not really familiar or well understood about. But you would have the question as to whether or not they would need to keep a second day Yom Tov or not. But that's not clear. That's not clear. But certainly at the time of the Binyan Beis Hamikdash and the Bias Mashiach, the large majority of Jews will be returning here to Eretz Israel. And yeah, as a matter of fact, I saw years and years ago, I tried to find it again, a sacred quoted the Yerushalmi, right? That the Yerushalmi was actually the Talmud, that's the Talmud Yerushalmi, was actually bemoaning the fact that there's a second day Yom Tov. That yeah, it was actually bemoaning the fact that there's a second day Yom Tov. Basically, it said all the mitzvahs of second day Yom Tov, the Kiddush, the Hallel, the Shmon Esrei, the Musaf, everything that they're doing, even all the things that they're doing don't amount to the fulfillment of the mitzvah of tefillin, and they've mevatel the mitzvah of tefillin and puts Lord's the second day Yom Tov, they don't wear tefillin, and that's a mitzvah d'oraisa. That's a mitzvah d'oraisa called Regel. And so the Talmud Yerushalmi was very, very concerned and upset about the fact that they still have to keep the 2 days in Chutz La'aretz and at the expense of not fulfilling the mitzvah of tefillin.
Wow.
So if you look at it, it's really not such a great, you don't want to tell people about that because you don't want to make second day into a Tisha B'Av, but looking at it from that perspective, it's really not such a not such a great thing. Yeah.
Well, it's true. I mean, publicly, you don't, on Chol HaMoed, for example, you don't wear tefillin.
Right, exactly. Publicly, there are different minhagim there. I remember somebody was telling me he lives in Florida. He was surprised. He saw that some people came into his minyan and they were wearing tefillin. So,
Oh, actually, when I was in Baltimore,
yeah,
I think it was Pesach, either Pesach or Sukkot. They actually have a section behind the mechitza for those people who do want to wear tefillin on Chol HaMoed.
really? Oh, that's really,
Yeah.
We had the same thing in Venice.
Oh, okay.
I think that what we did was to put on tefillin and take them off for Musaf.
Could be. There are various different minhagim about it on Chol Hamoed. Yeah, they range from wearing them completely like regular, to not wearing them at all, or to doing it privately in your home, or to doing it perhaps like halfway. Yeah, there are many different minhagim about this. It's a very big machlokus in the halach in Shulchan Aruch there's an open dispute about what to do about it. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay, let's
Okay.
continue the second paragraph there in with Hay.
Okay. Mitzvah limine yomei umitzvah limine shavua. Okay, so the mitzvah is what? To count the days, and the mitzvah is to count the weeks.
Right. So it's now we can try and understand, is this to say that they're two separate mitzvahs, or it's just two aspects of the same mitzvah, meaning you have the mitzvah of the counting, right? And that counting has to be accomplished in the following manner, involving both tallies, tally of the days and the tally of the weeks.
Wow. Okay. The days. Okay. And then it gives us examples. Shomer, as it says, Hayom Yom Echad LaOmer. Today is day one of the Omer. The Omer.
Yeah, meaning that it's with the lamed Omer.
Oh, okay. Or Bi Omer. Okay.
Right. It's a question of a lamed or a base. Now, I'm not sure how each and every one of you say it, but I've heard different people say different things. And
okay.
They're both valid. There's no, there are different reasons for saying each one, and each one is valid. Whatever. I think the basic general rule is at least to be consistent. Meaning, if you have a tradition from your family or from your rebbeim, right, then you most likely and most properly should follow your tradition, and be consistent with it. I think that's the best advice on that.
Okay, so it's Omer or Bi Omer.
Right. If you pay attention to the various different people saying it, you may realize and sense and hear that they're saying it some this way, some that way.
Right. Okay. Hayom Sheni Yamim Ad Shiva. So the second day until the seventh day. Okay, because there's no weeks in that segment of time.
Right. Correct.
Okay, Vishiva Omer, and on the seventh day, one says Hayom Shiva Yamim Shehem Shavua Echad. That today is 7 days. That is 1 week. Okay, Shmoneh Omer Hayom Shmoneh Yamim Shehem Shavua Echad V'Yom Echad. So on the 8th day, one says, today is 8 days. That is 1 week and 1 day.
There you go.
Okay, v'chein misham lehalan, and from there we just do the same thing. We go on. Udala kemi she'omer she'ein limnot hashavua rak b'sof hashavua. The einu kain. Let's see. So what's this? What, and one who doesn't say.
And this is opposed to the one who says that you only mention, right, not to mention only at the end of the week, meaning when you have 1 full week, you say Shvua Echad, the end of the second week you have Shnei Shavuot, right?
Oh, okay.
There's
Only at the
apparently
end.
there's an opinion that says the only time you mention the weeks is at the end of the week when you fulfill that whole week.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
The ain't okay. That's not the way we don't go according to that version.
Right. That I never heard of. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's true because that's not
It's
that's
not
not
the way we learn.
yeah it was discussed as you notice if you see in the small print the Ayin Beis Yosef, so he the Beis Yosef, that's the Mechaber, Yosef Cairo, his commentary on the Torah is the Beis Yosef. So there in that commentary, he brings many of these other opinions that were not accepted as mainstream halacha.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It could be relevant since you do have an opinion like that. It could be relevant if a person, for example, forgot to mention anything about the week. Let's say just Hayom Yom Shmona Yamim. If he just mentioned that, the question is, would he be Yotzi or not? Well, he'll discuss. He should discuss that as we go move further in.
Okay. Let's see. Ukashim Agia Lioter Me'esrim. Omer Echad Ve'esrim. Okay, so what? When one approaches the 20th day, one says Echad Ve'esrim, and then Shnayim Ve'esrim. And so you say the single day first, and then the multiple of tens, I guess. Okay, the olam misaper mu'at kodem. Oh yeah, so generally one counts the lesser first. I'm dying to get my Siddur out and see what it says in there.
Okay, you can take a look. Yeah, it's probably worthwhile. You could get. I don't know for sure.
I don't know. The most convenient is a Nusach Svard. I have to see if I can find it in here. Blessings weekday, Maariv. Okay. Okay, so Sfira to Omer, and then you pick the appropriate day. Okay, so this is saying what? On the 21st day, that's what it says. Hayom Echad Ve'esrim Yom. Shehem Shlosha Shavuot LeOmer. Okay. Very good.
Very good.
Now I'll go through all the Siddurim at Shul and see if there are variations. Because they do have different types of Siddurim at Shul to accommodate all types of Jews.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so it starts with the mi'ut, it starts with the lesser, and then it says the greater. Okay, ve'im shena lo ikev. So what? Shena is sleep, isn't it? If one sleeps.
If he changed, if he
changed. Oh, okay.
Deviated. If he deviated.
He deviated. Lo ikev. It's
Meaning,
not a bother, a problem.
It's not the ikev. It doesn't
Invalidate.
Excuse me, Lou?
Invalidate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. So again, the general rule is you always count the smaller number first, right? So,
Right.
So therefore it's echad ve'esrim, not esrim ve'echad. But if you reversed it, if you reversed it, you deviated from that. Lo ikev, it doesn't invalidate the counting.
Okay.
I'm not sure in proper. I'm not asking about modern Hebrew, but in proper Hebrew, I don't know how it. How would
No,
I
I think
get?
it's the other. I think it's the other way. Esrim ve'achad, esrim v'shnayim.
When it mentions the days of the month, right? Let's say uh, uh, like the days of the month, or let's say it's counting the various different by the Noach in the Teva. I was explained how to build the Teva, how long it should be, how tall it should be, or if they count in the midbar. When we have all the different counting of the various shvatim, right? So
Right.
I think the larger numbers mentioned first. Let me just take a quick look. Let's see here. Take a look at the midbar.
Okay, because my wife has a calendar based on I don't know if it's English months or Hebrew months, but I was looking last night at Wednesday, and it did say Yud Gimel on it,
Yud
So-
Gimel.
which would be sort of the I guess the regular way or secular way of saying 13, Yud Gimel.
Let's see, for example, it says here, Elu Pekudei B'nei Yisrael Lebesov, or some Pekudei Amerachanos, or some Sheish Meos Elef, Ushloshim Alafim, B'Kanei Meos, B'Kamishim. So it's starting off with the 1,000 numbers, the larger numbers first. That's right. That's right. And then we had also by by in Parshas Yigash, right?
Yeah, I think with the teens, it still goes the lower number first, right?
That's why
Like,
it started. That's why it started with Esrim, right? That's why. In teens, I don't know why that is. I have no idea. I'm baffled why that should be, right? Even in English, you say 17, and then you say 21.
That's right. That's
It
right.
reverses. I have no idea. I have no idea why it reverses. It's a quirk in mathematical reasoning. I don't know.
Well, I guess, or that's Torah. Everything comes from Torah. So
Yeah, creation, 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 by your feet. You got all the time. And then says here, Eilu Shemos B'nei Yisrael. I'm this one. Okay, in any event, we see that seems to be the way that the Torah does its counting the opposite way. Why it should be this way, I don't know. Okay, something to, if you run into a Talmud Chacham, something to ask him.
right.
Okay. Okay, let's continue on.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. Do this later. Let's see where I left off. Yamim Shehem Shavu Echad. Shemaya. Vishina. Okay. Lo'i Cave. Okay. V'chein im si per hayamim below hashvuot. And if one counted only the days and not the weeks, Yotze, he's Yotze, he fulfills his obligation.
There we have it. If he counts only the days, no weeks at all, he's Yotze. And likewise, this is a finish.
Okay. Let's see. V'chein mana hashvuot levad yotze. Wow. So if he only counts the weeks, so that means at the end of each week he counted the weeks.
Well, first of all, we'll have to see. We'll have to see in the next couple of lines also. But the question is here: if let's say it's day 17, right? Let's say it's day 17. So if you only say Shua Echad, right? So that doesn't seem to make much sense at all. But
Right.
if I'm not mistaken, I think the Mishnah Berurah explains this halacha that's referring to on the days that are divisible by 7, like say 7, 14, 21, 28, right? 35. So on day 35, you can't, if you say Chamesh Shavuot, right? That you'd be Yotze, right? Because that would be a valid count for that day, right?
Right.
So you're
Right.
saying you only count on those days, you only count 7 times in your Yotze? Or you
On
say
those
you count
if a
it every
person-
day, you make a mistake one day.
Well, yeah, if he made a mistake and only counted the weeks on those days, which are divisible by 7, so he would be Yotzi. But I don't think I think I have to check the Mishnah Berurah. I don't think he's not meaning to say that if you would count on a day that's indivisible by 7 that you'd be Yotzi, because it doesn't make sense that if it's day 23 that by saying Shlosh Shavuot you'd be counted, that because that doesn't really make sense that that's the proper count. Right?
You could
Let's
say
see.
plus.
Yeah, go ahead.
You could say stay Shavuot plus.
Yeah, but that also is not exactly, not exactly.
Not exactly accurate. Okay.
Let's take a look here. I think it might be borne out a little bit in the next couple of lines. Let's see if he says here.
Okay. So let's see. Who the opinion was Magain Abraham, the Cain who, but and the Torah, I guess, also agrees. Look there.
Right.
Okay. V'yesh holkin v'sovrim v'shvuot v'lo yamim. And your opinions, I guess, and decisions that the week you can, I guess, count the week. Oh, hold it. It says the weeks without the days, lo yatsa. You don't fulfill your obligation. Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Okay. Uprat, so
In other words, it's a machlokus.
Excuse me?
Are we saying it says yesh holchin? We're saying
Yes.
saying it's a machlokus. Some say yes, some say no.
That's right, correct.
so if you count weeks without days, not fulfill. Okay. Wow. Okay. It's a uprat b'sof shavua she'ein kan yamim klal. And at the end of the week, there are no days in general.
Yeah, I mean, it would be prat means you're not Yotzi, the prat specifically at the end of the week, meaning at the end of a full 2, 3, 4 weeks, that there's no days at all, that you don't make any mention of any days at all.
Okay, so you don't mention any days at all. Okay. Let's see. I just lost my play. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So kind claw. Okay. V'safek brachot lahakel. And they're lenient about what, reciting the bracha?
Yeah, I mean, right.
Okay.
Such a case, you should definitely not make a bracha, because it's a question whether you're Yotzi with such a counting.
Oh. So is that also the same concept if you miss if you don't say the bracha more than, I guess, more than one day in a row, you continue counting without the bracha?
If you miss counting, you can miss not making the bracha and still count with the bracha the next day. But if you miss
Right.
counting for one full day, then you cannot because it's a question. You can't count with the bracha henceforth.
Okay. Yeah, that's sort of what we learned in Hebrew school. Okay. Mihu zehu vadai sheyachzor by yimna below bracha. Okay, so what? One who does this certainly should but count without the bracha. Okay.
However, this is definite. Below bracha. You should go back and recount properly with the days and the weeks, without a bracha.
Oh, okay.
I'm not clear. What does that mean?
That if a person, for some reason, on even on say day 21, when he counted Ayom Shlosh Shavuos, he said today's 3 weeks. So there are those that say he's Yotzi with that, and there are those that argue and say he's not Yotzi with that. And therefore, if he's going to, for some reason, he's going to count that way, he can't make a bracha and count that way. But nevertheless, he should definitely go back and recount properly with mentioning the days and the weeks.
So in other words, without a bracha, he says this is 21 days, which is 3 weeks.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. V'chein b'chol safek yasechein. And I guess if there's any doubt, this is what he should do.
Right. Anytime you have a doubt about the counting of the Omer, right? So you should go back and recount properly, but without any bracha.
Well, that's interesting. I have an Omer app on my phone. What I'm going to do is not mark off 2 days in a row and see if it brings the bracha up or not.
Okay.
If you don't count at night, if you forget to count at night,
Right.
and the next morning you realize you didn't count, there's no suffix. You know for sure you didn't count.
Right.
Nevertheless, you still don't say a bracha, correct?
Right. The only time you can make the bracha is at the night. You have the whole night until Olos Shacher to make the bracha, but it can only be said the bracha at the night.
Okay, it looks like we're up to Vav.
Yeah, very good. Continue on.
Okay. The al derech ze moneh v'cholech ad 49 yom. And this is the method that we count further on until the 49th day. Okay.
So I'm not clear on what this phrase al derech zeh. Saying you have the suffix and you continue with the suffix.
What's that? I'm not sure. What to clarify your question, Lou?
It says for al derech zeh.
Right.
According to this way. What
meaning the way you, according to how you're supposed to count, right? You continue counting in this way, meaning you mentioned first the days and the weeks, right? First you make a bracha, then you make the proper count according to mentioning the days and the weeks first, and the smaller number first, and then you continue counting this way all the way up through the 49th day.
Well, I'm confused. That's pshita. That's obvious. What was it telling us? You should do it the right way. Is that what it's saying? You should do it the right way?
No, the way you're counting, the way you're counting is now consistent. I mean, since we had a situation where it changed from the first 7 days to after the transition from the 7th day to the 8th day, there was a transition, and then there was a transition from the 19th day to the 20th day, right? So therefore, once you pass that stage of into the 20s, now you continue counting that way throughout the whole rest of the time, the 49 days of the.
Uh-huh. Okay, I see.
I mean, there will be no. Don't think there'll be any more changes in the way you count. Now you've reached the stage where it's plateaued, and it's consistent the way you count it without any other change.
Okay, so it says, let's see, Bi'ad Asara Omrim Yamim, V'achar kach Omrim Yom, V'im Shina Lo Ikev. Okay, so what, until Asara, the 10th day, we say Yamim, and afterwards, one says just Yom, day, Im Shina, and so, and if you deviated, you don't, doesn't invalidate the count. I'm just trying to look at my chart here.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure I see as Vi'ana Sarah.
Right. Until, meaning you do Sheshes Yamim, you say Sheshes Yamim, right? And then after that, after the 10th day, you say Yom, Echad Asar Yom.
Oh.
Again, why that should change also, I'm not so clear why that should change.
Yeah, because, oh, yeah, I see that. I didn't notice that at first. After Asara, after the 10th day, it says just Yom.
Yeah, I see the same thing on my chart. I never noticed it either. I don't understand why we do that.
Right. Good. That's I'm also not sure what the grammatical mathematical interface is here. But again, you can you go to Myriv tonight, you can find somebody who looks like they might know something, and you can ask them what's going on.
It's interesting.
Okay, I've got my homework.
You can, if you find out, you can give me a report. I'd be interested in finding out. I don't know. I really don't. I don't. I never paid sufficient attention to what I was doing. Apparently, unfortunately, to think about it. But,
Yeah, because if someone has 11 children, you don't say Hadasar Yeled, you say Yeladim.
right.
So,
Unless they all have the same personality.
or maybe they're all boys. Maybe then you do say. Okay. Okay, so Yamim, okay, Yom, and we don't deviate. Okay. V'achar hasfira omrim yehi ratzon sheyibaneh beit hamikdash. And after the counting, one says, may it be your will that the Beit Hamikdash will be rebuilt. O, Harachaman, Hu Yachzir, whoops, Hu Yachzir Avodat Beit Hamikdash. Or may you have mercy that, may he have mercy that he returns the service of the Beit Hamikdash. Oh, Lim Koma. What's that, in our day?
To its place. I mean,
Oh, in its place. Okay.
Yachzir Avodas Beis Hamikdash. The Avodas of the base. We're not referring to the Beis Hamikdash itself. See, there are two things. It's either first thing, Hirotzon Shiyibana Beis Hamikdash. Hirotzon that the Beis Hamikdash should be built. Or you say, Arachman, have mercy to return the avoda of the Beis Hamikdash and then go to its place. To the place, meaning that's the nat, min koma is a reference to the Beis Hamikdash.
Okay, but in order to have the service of the Beit Hamikdash, don't we need the Beit Hamikdash?
Right. So I mean, one is more. The second one's perhaps more inclusive, because the first thing here's only even a Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash should be built. Fine, very good, nice, very good, wonderful. But we want that the kohanim and the korbanos should be actively brought and sacrificed there as well. You know, that should be fully functional.
Ah,
That's which I think is more inclusive in the second statement than the first.
right, I see.
So by asking for the service, you're asking for both.
Obviously, right. And that, but lim koma means is a reference to the basic image. We want that the avoda, the service of the base of Mikdash should be returned to its place in the base of Mikdash.
Right.
So that indicates both things.
Okay, v'yesh omrim gam mizmor Elokim Yechanenu. So some say also there's a psalm that begins with Elokim Yechanenu.
Right. If you have your siddur, it might be written there too as well.
Let me just quickly see. Keep losing my place. So let's see if it has anything. I see Harachaman, who Yachzir, okay, Lanu. Oh, yeah. There's Psalm 67. Amatseach b'neginot mizmor shir. Maybe that's what it's referring to. Yes, Elokim Yechanenenu. Yes, that's it.
Very good. Okay.
Wow. Okay, so let's see. Mipnei sheyesh bo arba'im v'teisha tevot. Oh, because this has 49 words in it, I guess.
Yes, that's the reason. The reason why that one was picked was it's a symbolic of the 49 days.
Uh-huh. Okay.
49 words in it.
49 words, right. V'yesh musafin v'od techina arucha. And it continues more. Let's see. Techina.
It's like a supplication.
Oh, a supplication.
And there are those that add on also another long supplication.
Oh, okay. Umarbim be'inyanim ha-misutarim. And many bring a matter of misutarim. Not sure what misutarim or is.
That umar b'inyanim Musurim, Hamusurim, and it um it expands on many traditional things. It expands upon many traditional things. I'm sorry, from the tradition.
Oh. Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Rabim Ugedolim Hit Ramu al Zeh. So what the rabbis and the sages, the great ones, Itramu. It's going to say elevate on this, but there has to be a better word than that. Itramu.
There are those
Expand on this?
well, no, there are many, and there are many great, many and great people. Hisramu alze, they speak out against this.
Oh, Hitramu, they speak against it. Okay. Mimnei shehem devarim ha'omdim biromo shel olam. Because there are they are words that stand biromo shel olam. I'm not sure. Biromo shel olam.
Many great people have spoken out against saying this, because Shane Devarim, these things which are mentioned there are ondim b'rum. They're literally ondim, standing at the heights of the world, meaning they're very lofty. They're very lofty concepts. So it's not for the normal run-of-the-mill person to start saying things that are beyond most people.
Yena pursum ra'oi lazeh. They don't regularly do this.
Yes, it's not proper to do this in public.
Oh, okay.
It's not proper to do this in public.
Okay, aval akshav kivar regilim la'amro b'hamon to fit alot anefesh. Now we ordinarily say it
Like it's routine beginning the Omer, Hamon, right? But now it's already routine to say it by the general population.
Oh, okay. Very good. I think we've reached our time.
Good time, good place to stop. So we're by Zion. Continue that.
Zion.
Good.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Rabbi. What do you want to
Okay.
do something today?
Yeah, maybe like 3:30. Actually, maybe better is 4 o'clock a good time.
No, I have a class from 4 to 6.
4 to 6. So maybe 3:30, perhaps 3:15, 3:30.
3:15 would be good. 3:30 would be. I'd have to cut short at about 3:45.
All right, so let's try
I have to go pick up people.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye. Thank
Roy, be
you.
well. Have a good
Okay.
day.
You
Thank
well,
you.
Roy. Okay, take care.
So yeah, maybe let's try for 3:15 on Zoom. We'll try it on the Zoom.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. See you later. Be well.
Okay, bye-bye.